On the Gamebridge Ball State Cardinals Sports Network from Learfield. Welcome to This Week in Ball State Sports, a Ball State athletics podcast, highlighting the Cardinals athletic teams and administration each week. Presented by Gamebridge. Here's the voice of the Cardinals, your host, Mick Tidrow.
Hey, Ball State Cardinal fans, this is episode 16 of This Week in Ball State Sports. First and foremost, thank you for the support through the first 15 episodes of the podcast. It's appreciated, it's heard, it's seen. Thanks for checking us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and wherever you listen to your shows. Today's show lined up with Jeff Mitchell, Director of Athletics here at Ball State, Shane Nichols, the GM of Learfield Ball State Sports Properties within the department, and also Kevin Mullaney, our Director of Marketing and Experiential Learning, joining the show to talk about what changes they've had so far this year in the marketing space and what to look forward to through the rest of this academic year. Plenty to talk about on the show this week. Make sure to subscribe and check out ballstatesports.com for all your ticket needs, any questions, schedules, you name it. It is there. Also, don't forget your mailbag questions. DM me at Mick Tidrow or any Ball State Sports account to get your questions out there. We'll hear a word from our sponsor, Gamebridge, and then sit down with Director of Athletics, Jeff Mitchell, on This Week in Ball State Sports.
They fly down the court and fly through the air.
Left to right in transition, skies, flies, and dunks.
And we fly with the Cardinals.
Steal, top of the key, nobody in front of him, two-hand thunderous slam. Pearson, left corner, eyes and flies, and drops.
This is your home for Ball State Cardinals basketball.
Buzzer sounds, and they hang on with a defensive stand.
The Ball State Sports Network from Learfield.
Sometimes it's not the moment. It's the moment before the moment. The moment you make a choice. The moment you take control. The moment only you can own. Gamebridge lets you invest on your terms. So you're not only in charge of this moment, but all the moments to come. Start investing now at Gamebridge.io.
And we're back inside episode 16 of This Week in Ball State Sports, chatting with Director of Athletics, Jeff Mitchell. One more podcast after this week before we get to the holiday break. Jeff, appreciate you jumping on.
Thank you, Mick. Always a pleasure.
Hard to believe that this is December 12th as this episode drops. Jeff, you've had a chance to digest several months now in your first full year as a Director of Athletics. Well, I guess not first full year because it hasn't hit the 12-month mark, but the end of the spring semester and then now this fall semester. How would you assess where everything is at in Ball State Athletics right now?
Well, I think we're in a good place. I think that we are certainly continuing to evaluate where we are within our peer group, not only in the Mid-American Conference, but also nationally, and paying attention to the craziness that, for lack of a better word, that is essentially running the show right now in terms of NCAA intercollegiate athletics, and that we're mindful of some of the changes that or proposed changes that are coming our way. And so as our industry goes to the NCAA convention in January, as the NCAA Board of Directors meets to talk about just a new age of intercollegiate athletics, I think we'll be positioned well. I think we are operating from a position of strength, and we'll have some decisions to make as we go forward. But from the standpoint of where we are, who we are as an institution, as an athletics department, really proud of our coaches, our staff, and really excited about what's to come this spring in the various spring sports that we sponsor. So, and of course, we're riding high on a basketball standpoint right now, too, with two outstanding basketball teams. So all in all, things are very positive, and our attitude is having this growth mindset and to continue to grow and develop. And so looking forward to the prospects of what that means going forward.
Jeff, definitely want to touch on those sports that you had mentioned, but want to go back to something you mentioned about the possible incoming things from the NCAA standpoint. How can those things possibly impact the MAC and Ball State?
Well, I think when we're talking about having a level of resources when it pertains to name, image, and likeness, and having the institutions control, name, image, and likeness, and the revenue that would be flowing to the student athletes in that regard. I think that's a shift in the way we've been thinking as a industry, and so we've got to see what that looks like going forward. If in fact it is the new order, we will see. But I think it impacts the MAC in a way that will force some decisions on uniformity and how the membership of the MAC chooses to behave. And I think it'll force a lot of leagues to have those same conversations because there is value to competing in a league where you're playing by the same rules. And so I think that's going to be ripe for discussion amongst leadership across the institutions and in those meetings of athletic directors and conference commissioners and college presidents over the next several months.
How does that process work with the league and the teams making, or the programs being on the same page?
Well, I think a lot of it stems from quality communication. And as news was breaking about some of these proposed changes by NCAA President Charlie Baker, we received an advance notice from League Commissioner John Steinbrecher to the athletic directors, to the college presidents, who said, hey, something's coming out of the president's office, so be mindful, be aware. And we're in a good position from the perspective of Ball State because our university president, Jeff Mearns, serves on the Division I Board of Directors. He's a well-respected voice in that room, as is Commissioner Steinbrecher in the variety of committees on which he serves. And so I think the best decisions or the best interests, rather, of league institutions and certainly Ball State will be well represented in these conversations going forward. So I really think that communication piece is critical. We're going to have a meeting in a couple of days with athletic directors, and President Mearns is going to join that meeting as a member of the Division I board to talk about where we are as a league and what new information, if any, that we know as of that date relative to some of the conversations that have happened the past couple of weeks. So that's where we are right now, is kind of the collecting information phase and the communication phase. And I'm very confident that as things progress, that from a communication standpoint, that we'll all be well informed, which will allow us to make informed decisions as we move forward.
Jeff Mitchell joining us here on This Week in Ball State Sports, episode 16, not too far away from the holiday break for Ball State athletics and the Mid-American Conference as a whole. Jeff, looking at the basketball squads, men's basketball, women's basketball come off a couple of big wins. Women's team was down at Western Kentucky. That's a place that's never easy to go in and win, no matter what sport. That environment's tough. Men's basketball defeating SIUE as well. Healthy records for both of those squads right now.
Yeah, excited for both those teams. The women continue to play really well. They have challenged themselves this year, certainly playing top 20 Notre Dame and going on the road to play top 20 UConn, and being on the road for like a period of 6 weeks.
A billion years, it felt like.
But to go to Western Kentucky on Sunday and earn a road win in a tough place to play continues to be very encouraging for me as I watch that group compete. On the men's side, I think this young team continues to play really hard and play really well, particularly at home, as we improve our home record to 7-0. And they're learning to play on the road and got their first road win earlier this past week too. So I'm excited about what they're doing. They continue to be so coachable. Coach Lewis is having a good time, I think, coaching this team. And they're continuing to learn how to win. And I think when it comes to how to put together a schedule where you can prepare your team for conference play, I think you're seeing both just a high level of acumen, both from Coach Sallee and Coach Lewis's standpoint, to prepare their teams to have a good conference segment. So we've got a couple of more games left in the non-conference schedules for both as we enter the tail end of December. But January is coming, and conference play is going to be really exciting, and it's going to go by so quickly. But just as we get into a regular rhythm and cadence of conference play, but really excited and like where we are going into league play, and encourage our fans to come and support us. We're a lot of fun to watch.
Jeff, you mentioned the road win for Ball State men's basketball up at Detroit Mercy last week. How pivotal was it to get that first road win with such a young team in men's basketball's case?
Well, winning's a habit, and you have to reap the benefits of those wins to believe that you can do it again. Right, and so particularly with a young team, and there's a lot to be said in college basketball about how hard it is to win on the road, and statistically that would be true, but teams are coached to be able to play basketball anywhere. The court's the same, the baskets are the same. Whether you're playing, as Coach Lewis likes to say, in the park or on the road or at home, the court's all the same. And so getting our guys to learn how to go into different environments and to just be disciplined in how they approach the Ball State way of playing basketball. And I think that's something that Coach Salih's team does really well. I think most of our teams, as they continue to develop as programs, play to a standard, and I think that is something that Coach Lewis on the men's side is particularly trying to get across to his team, and they're really buying into it. I'm seeing that. I thought in a tough environment on the road against a team they should have beaten, to just kind of take the punches and absorb them and then throw some punches on their own. And it led to some really intense basketball in the last few minutes of that game in Detroit. So I was really encouraged by the fact that they found a way to win. That, to me, shows a sign of growing maturity and progress that's being made on that team in terms of competitiveness. And I think that they built on that, even though they were playing at home on Sunday. They built on that intensity because they maintained that intensity throughout the game on Sunday to beat a very good SIU team.
Jeff, I buried the lead. We have the Indy Classic on Saturday for men's basketball, taking on Indiana State. Second straight year Ball State's a part of the Indy Classic. Won last year against Illinois State, this year against Indiana State. This is your first exposure to the Indy Classic here with Ball State. What does this Classic mean for not only just Ball State, but the state of Indiana to have 3 in-state schools competing in this tournament?
Well, it's a tremendous opportunity for the state of Indiana. What a remarkable day it will be, because we've got a really good game to lead off between Indiana State and Ball State, and then the nightcap is Purdue and Arizona. So you've got 3 Indiana teams that are playing really well. And then, of course, you've got an Arizona program that's extraordinarily good, too. And to do that in Indianapolis, kind of in the hotbed of basketball, there's a lot of excitement around basketball generally, particularly in that arena, Gainbridge Arena, which is named after a company run by a Ball State alum. But more than that, the Pacers are playing really well. And it's just a great time of year. So I'm expecting a lot of energy in that building for our game and then the game following. And the display of basketball on hand, I think, will be exceptional for our region, and particularly for Ball State, the opportunity to go and play in front of our alums in Indianapolis, which is where the vast majority of the concentration of our alums reside, and to go to them and to say, hey, look, here we are. We're just an hour away, but we'd like for you, now that we're coming to your hometown, to watch us play. And I think the outpouring of support that we'll receive will be exciting, and I think we're seeing that already in advanced ticket sales. And so we're really looking forward to a great day of basketball.
Jeff Mitchell, Director of Athletics here at Ball State, joining us on This Week in Ball State Sports. Jeff, one last thing for you. Gymnastics started the season with the red and white meet, always highly anticipated. Everybody's rearing ready to go with gymnastics, but what did you see from that performance?
Well, I'm encouraged by the performance of that exhibition. Coach Joanna Salim and her staff, I think, are excited about the season. I think the student athletes are excited too. And it was a fun evening. The white team prevailed over the red. And, high energy. If you want to inject yourself with energy that will last for several days, come watch a gymnastics event.
Don't need coffee.
You do not need coffee. So there was a lot of energy. Appreciate our fans that were in attendance to watch that. And so we're excited to host a couple of meets during the season. And our student athletes have been working really hard this fall, and there's some expectations to do well, and that's part of a championship level team and a championship level mindset. So I look forward to watching us compete.
Check out ballstatesports.com for the gymnastics schedule starting in January, a couple of home meets, and also the MAC championships held in Muncie this year. Jeff, appreciate your time as always. We'll talk to you next week.
Mick, thanks so much. Go Cards.
They fly down the court and fly through the air.
Left to right in transition, skies, flies, and dunks.
And we fly with the Cardinals.
Steele, top of the key, nobody in front of him, two-hand thunderous slam. Pearson, left corner, eyes and flies, and drops.
This is your home for Ball State Cardinals basketball.
Buzzer sounds, and they hang on with a defensive stand.
The Ball State Sports Network from Learfield.
Sometimes it's not the moment. It's the moment before the moment. The moment you make a choice. The moment you take control. The moment only you can own. Gainbridge lets you invest on your terms. So you're not only in charge of this moment, but all the moments to come. Start investing now at Gainbridge.io.
All right, Cardinal fans, back inside episode 16 of This Week in Ball State Sports, and we're pleased to be joined by the Director of Ball State Marketing, Kevin Mullaney. Kevin, appreciate you joining the show for the second time. I told you we would find you more than just once on this show.
You are always welcome here, Mick. You have an open invitation, but thank you for having me. Excited to be back, talk all things Ball State, and just happy to be with you.
Kevin, we're in the thick of the holiday season now. December is always an exciting time around the athletics department because, yes, we have some home events. This year a little bit lighter on the schedule once you get to mid to late December, but there's always something going on with marketing and the holidays. What can that be?
Yeah, November was a blur because we just had event after event after event, and then these first 2 weeks here in December we had some basketball and started off our gymnastics season, and uniquely enough we have a 2.5 week break until our next women's basketball game, which I will gladly take to spend some time with the family and friends around the holiday here. But that being said, January is right around the corner, and we have 20 events in January here. So it's going to be a jam-packed month for us. Very exciting things. Gymnastics is in full swing. Men's volleyball tips off their season the first week in January, and then we will continue on with both our men's and women's basketball programs. And so excitingly, we are going to be promoting this here soon, and I will always promote ticket sales in my role here. But, Ball State Athletics tickets make great stocking stuffers for you and your family. So bring your biggest Cardinal fans out to Worthen Arena this year. We love to have you. We love everything that we're doing. We feel like we're in a great spot with everything that we're doing here with our game day presentation, and we want you to be a part of it. Without our fans, without our friends of the programs, without our parents and families of players, the atmosphere here is not the same without you. And it's my job to do this, but obviously, being a Ball State grad, I want you to come out to Ball State and have the best time that you can, and we're really trying to do our best to create that experience. So get your tickets, stuff those stockings. Sorry, tongue twister there. You're a lot better on a microphone than I am. Come out to Worthen. We got some great programs, some great teams, some great coaches, and we start our conference play for basketball. So it's a really exciting time to be here, and we want you to witness every minute of it, be a part of it, bring your energy, bring your excitement, and cheer on the Cardinals.
Kevin, you talk about the presence during basketball season with video board, with fan engagement. Now that you've been in your role for several months, football season in the books, you've had a chance to try and do what you want to do with it, put your stamp on it. How are you using that vision for basketball season now?
Yeah, I think this is a two-parted here, right? Like, you get your first few games under your belt in a new role. You get to really see what we've done, where we're at. Then you kind of mold it into what you feel is, the vision of the reason why I was hired here in the first place, right? We've really taken our music selection, our video board presence, and try to take it to the next level so that there's never a dull moment in a basketball game, right? Every whistle that blows, you try to be on top of it, and you're always thinking 2 or 3 plays ahead, right? Like that's very hard to do in a game like basketball where it's so fast paced. But when you're sitting there, you're always ready. If they call traveling, I've got my Walk It Out song on. If we score an and one, you can't touch this, right? Like, so you always try to think situationally about what's the best song for that moment. So we try to do that best. And then we try to partner that up with our graphics on our video board, right? Like, are we trying to make some noise here? Are we chanting defense here? And we're always doing our best to really put our fans in a position that we can help guide them situationally so they know exactly what's going on. Our fans are very smart when it comes to basketball, right? And so we're just doing our part to make sure that we're all engaged, that we're all into it, and situationally we know exactly what's coming up so we can give our team the best opportunity to perform, right? Worthen Arena is a fantastic place to be. We have the best fans in the conference. We try to make our experience the best in the country. And that's our goal. And we want to make sure that we're doing everything that we can from an in-venue experience to make sure that our fans are coming, they're loud, they're supporting, give our students something to look forward to, right? Like, we want this to be the place to be on a Tuesday night, on a Saturday, on a Sunday, whatever day it is. We want you to be here to be a part of something special.
Kevin Mullaney joining us here on episode 16 of This Week in Ball State Sports. Kevin, there's been the wave of Cardinal chaos that has helped with the experience of Ball State sporting events. We'll get to them specifically with basketball here in a moment, but from your perspective, how have you seen them help impact positively the crowd for Ball State events?
Yeah, Cardinal Chaos is our student section. It is newly branded this year. We had some really enthusiastic students that came with this idea. They looked at schools across the country and just kind of saying that they had an organized actual student section, right? We have the Nest, and that's the physical name that we give our student section is the Nest. But
which always makes sense.
Yeah, which totally makes sense, and I love it. But you know what? We didn't have an identity for our actual students there. So they approached us with this idea. We are thrilled that we have actual students that are enthusiastic about this, and so they came up with the idea, and they are Cardinal Chaos in the Nest. So the branding of our student section, as you've kind of seen some signs that have popped up out at Schumann Stadium inside here at Worthen, is Cardinal Chaos. So that is the name that our students have, and the identity that they're bringing is their idea is to bring the chaos, right? And they bring an energy. They help us on campus. They're out helping recruit students and getting awareness up there. They post a lot of fun videos. They actually, believe some of their kids have some Sports Links ties to some video projects that they've done. So it's really cool to see the content they're doing, the help that they bring when it comes to just creating awareness on campus for our student body to understand that we have sporting events going on is fantastic. And then, as you've seen at Schumann Stadium, when we played Indiana State, they were fantastic. I mean, they brought the energy level of excitement. You've seen them at Worthen. I know it's been early this year, and we've had some break games over Thanksgiving, but last night here at the game, they were fantastic. And really, they're charged with just helping us create that home court advantage, right? And we're going to rely on them because they are the pulse of our student body. They understand our students better than anyone because they are students, and so we use them. They're great to work with, and they're fun, and we love having them around.
Kevin, you mentioned football season, the Indiana State game in Cardinal Chaos's case. Football season, of course, done, but you were able to get some analytics, some numbers back from surveys and opportunities for you to reflect a little bit on the football season of performance from marketing and your standpoint. What did those results show?
Yeah, so we have a third-party Evolved Experience, and over the last couple of years, we've been using them to strategically reach out to our fans and get a sense of what they're experiencing when they come out to an athletics event, right? So in the fall season, we did some volleyball games and we did some football games to get some feedback, kind of get a pulse what our fans are thinking. Happy to say that this year our numbers are up and we continue to do better each year. So we're asking them from their parking experience, their mobile ticketing experience, that their ease of entry into the stadium, the concessions, the video board content, the promos on the field. But we're getting a pulse on everything. And overall, our fans are very excited and very happy with what we're doing. We're going to continue to get that feedback and improve in areas where we feel like we need to improve. And we're going to do it during basketball season. We're going to do it during volleyball. We're really want to make sure that we are listening to our fans, right? And that's how we will get better. We can think we're the smartest people in the world, but if it's not landing where people like are actually bringing it in, then we need to make some changes. And I think we've got a great foundation that we've laid here in these first 6 months that I've been here. We're going to continue to build off that. We're going to take in all the feedback and all the ideas that we hear from people, and really make this the best that we can. And we feel like we're in a great spot to do that, and the results of what we're doing, people are noticing the good work that we're doing. And so overall, I'm very pleased with where we're at. We'll continue to push on and do better, and looking forward to what those ideas and how we can bring those not just to football and volleyball, but across the board with all of our sports, and how we really take in our fan experience.
What were some of those areas when you were looking back that you saw that maybe you wanted to improve a little bit?
Well, I wish I could control the weather, because we surveyed everyone after the Toledo game, which just rained the entire time, and it was 50 degrees. So it was a pretty miserable game to be at. But you know what? Like, our fans stuck it out. They had fun. And I think, we look at areas that I know that really impact me the most is, what are we doing situationally with the use of music, our boards? What experiences are we bringing onto the concourse? How do we communicate the information to our fans in a way that's effective and efficient, so that way they're prepared to come to campus and have a good time.
Kevin, before we let you go here on This Week in Ball State Sports, anything else you want people to know, fans, family, friends, anybody, about what the marketing efforts are right now and what they could possibly be in the future?
I think I know I talked about this in the first time we were here, and how we're changing our approach to be a little bit more direct and targeted with our audience, and making sure that we're giving them the content that they want. So I think, as we continue to have our staff grow and learn and develop and settle in, because our whole marketing team is new, so trying to, we got thrown into the thick of it with all of our seasons here. But as we get settled in and do everything, I think, our goal is to make sure we're creating a fun, family-friendly environment to give our student athletes the best possible chance to exceed on the court, right? Like my role is to handle the external side of our department. And that includes our fans and our alumni. We want you all to know that when you come to Ball State and you're investing in Ball State, it's an investment that's well worth it, and that what you're getting out of it is something that is impactful for you, your family, your friends, and that that you can come to a place and have fun, have a good time, cheer on your team that you love, and connect with the student athletes that are pouring their heart and soul into this school here. And my goal is to make sure that you leave here every single time with that sense of belonging, that sense of gratitude, and knowing that Ball State is the place to be.
Well, Kevin, we appreciate you, your efforts, and everything that you've been up to in your short time at Ball State, just a half a year in the books in your new role. Appreciate you, Kevin, and happy holidays.
Yeah, thank you, Mick. Appreciate you as always. You know where to find me.
They fly down the court and fly through the air.
Left to right in transition, skies, flies, and dunks.
And we fly with the Cardinals.
Steele, top of the key, nobody in front of him, two-hand thunderous slam. Pearson, left corner, eyes and flies, and drops.
This is your home for Ball State Cardinals basketball.
Buzzer sound, and they hang on with a defensive stand.
The Ball State Sports Network from Learfield.
Sometimes it's not the moment. It's the moment before the moment. The moment you make a choice. The moment you take control. The moment only you can own. Gainbridge lets you invest on your terms, so you're not only in charge of this moment, but all the moments to come. Start investing now at Gainbridge.io.
This is episode 16 of This Week in Ball State Sports, and today we have, for the first time on the podcast, the general manager of Ball State Sports Properties, Learfield Football State, Shane Nichols. Shane, appreciate you joining.
It's an honor to be here, Mick. Thank you.
Thank you for signing my checks as well.
It's an honor to sign your checks. You're very talented.
I appreciate you, Shane. So, Shane, I think it's a great conversation to have with you about, first and foremost, the relationship that Learfield and Ball State Sports Properties has with the athletics department, because that has changed over time. Radio rights have not always been with Learfield with Ball State, so there's still so much to digest within that space. But just first and foremost, what is the relationship, sports properties, Learfield, and athletics?
Yeah, we came here, Learfield, and I as well, in 2017. And Learfield is specializes in helping athletic departments of all sizes maximize their sponsorship, corporate sponsorship selling. And we do that through the various multimedia that athletics controls. Athletics is the only department on a college campus that has a television contract. People pay to watch our sports on TV. Not all of them. People also want to read about the programs on the website, on social media. People want to listen to our games on the radio and on streaming. So that's what we sell. We purchase the rights to that and then resell that. The benefit of that for athletics is we provide a really reliable stream of income that funds their operations and their scholarships, while we go out into the market and kind of assume all the risk and then try to kind of provide a profit to our company as well. But it's a partnership that exists with Learfield at over 170 schools. Here in Indiana alone, we have IU, Purdue, Butler, Ball State, of course, Evansville, Purdue, Fort Wayne. We have most of the Power 5, most of the Big Ten, most of the MAC. We're in year 6, I think, of a 10-year agreement here, and it's gone great. Really enjoy it.
So, Shane, part of the ever-changing landscape of what radio is in college athletics has affected Ball State as well, in a really good way, because a new partnership with Wolf Boom Radio, WMUN, now becoming the home of men's basketball, women's basketball, and football. Why has that been so impactful?
Yeah, I mean, it's important to note that while traditional radio, is maybe suffering from many of the things that a lot of other traditional media have undergone over the last 10, 20 years. And there's no bigger fan of traditional media than me. I started a newspaper, then went into radio. I was in broadcast television for a number of years. There's an extreme amount of value, probably untapped value, overlooked value in traditional media, particularly broadcast media, as it is available to anyone that has a radio. And we always want to be in that space. Wolf Boom's a terrific partner. But we also have to recognize that, as budgets change, as preferences change, we have to be in the streaming space as well. And so we just had to adjust our audio strategy, is what you would call it now. It's not really just radio, it's an audio strategy. And we wanted to invest in the streaming side and make sure our content was available to anyone all over the world through our website, through the Varsity app that Learfield produces, and then, of course, locally, free of charge to anyone who wants to listen on WMUN, which also has a streaming option. And we just have a great partnership with Wolf Boom, and we hope to continue with that.
Shane Nichols joining us here on episode 16 of This Week in Ball State Sports. I think the engaging process that audio rights holders have had to go through the last few years is such an interesting topic of conversation. You mentioned it a little bit, Shane, with how much consumers are changing the way that they listen, right? The audio platforms of streaming have become so prevalent. The ability for Learfield to have the Varsity Network, pretty big, because that opens up doorways for a lot of different things.
Yeah, it does. I mean, the thing about streaming, while I think it's harder for older adults, mature adults who maybe didn't grow up in the streaming world, to open their phone up, download the app, log into the app, set up an account. Those folks are still probably going to prefer the ease of radio. But what the advantage of streaming is, we can better track it. who's listening, how long. We have their data, their email address. We know where they live, which allows us to market. Excuse me. And that's important for athletics to have a greater understanding of not only who's listening and engaging with the content, but also to be able to communicate with those listeners, to develop a database of those people. Those are our biggest fans and or sponsors, and to be able to communicate with them without having to worry about Nielsen and to pay them for that sort of data and information. We now own that data ourselves. So that's why it's important to have the streaming component, but we still, again, recognize the power of traditional radio as well.
Shane, as the GM of Ball State Sports Properties in Learfield, what is your overall role?
So a general manager is just, a catch-all title. In addition to the sales, there's a lot of operations that goes with this role. So we have a staff that I manage. We have a lot of media that I oversee. There's relationships with sponsors. We have, any given year, 80 sponsors that we work with who we negotiate sponsorship deals with. We're always seeking new business, so there's new business development responsibilities. Our relationship on campus, our relationship with athletics and Jeff and Haven and the team here. There's also the corporate relationship. I have to answer to our bosses at Learfield who have expectations and who like to manage me and make sure we're doing things up to their expectations. So there's a lot. It truly is. It's, if you imagine a general manager at a restaurant, doing all things, it's the same kind of role, although I probably would prefer to focus on selling and the media side. I have to oversee everything to be successful in this role.
Shane, you talk about sponsorships, and they're so pivotal to what any athletics department is trying to do. How have the sponsorships developed with partners in Ball State Athletics Properties Learfield space?
Yeah, I when I took this role, I was really enthused about it because, I went to school here. I worked at the campus newspaper. This was back when newspapers were the dominant local advertising media.
Did you go to school with David Letterman?
Not quite that old, Mick.
Okay, sorry about that.
But I'm getting there, yeah. There's going to be a moment in time when people don't even know he's an alum. The newer generations, I think, are not as familiar with David Letterman. It's funny. But, yeah, what I love about what we sell is that we're the best connection to the Ball State community. As the other traditional media have been fragmented, they still do their own thing. Every media works to some degree, but I believe we have emerged, athletics, the marketing platform for our sponsors, as the way to talk to the community. And the community is not just the students, not just the campus people, but it's the fans, it's the alumni. All told, we reach about 1 million people in any given year. Many of those people live here in Muncie and Delaware County, but there's Marion, there's Anderson, there's the corridor all along the I-69 corridor to Fort Wayne to Indianapolis. That's our bread and butter. And I feel like if you want to reach that community and you want to prosper and grow your business in this market, then we are a must-have marketing option.
How can you become involved with Ball State Sports Properties as a sponsor like you're talking about?
Yeah, I like to send people, I like to provide educational resources. I think this day and age of internet shopping, people are are a little wary of talking to salespeople right off the bat. So I encourage you to read some of our educational resources. I have the Ball State Biz Quiz that is an 11-question quiz that will allow you to kind of qualify yourself. If you're a business, I think, that could profit or benefit from being a sponsor, you can access that quiz at ballstatesports.com/quiz. We also have a guide. We're in our 6th edition of this guide. I titled it How to Profit from the Ball State Community. And in that guide, there are 10 different examples of how you can be a sponsor and market yourself in this community. It runs the gamut from utilizing intellectual property to using offers tied to sporting events like we do with Papa John's. That guide, it's about 43 pages, very helpful, very informative. That guide can be accessed through ballstatesports.com/profit, ballstatesports.com/profit. You can access both resources without having to meet or talk with anyone. Should you want to learn more after reading those, you'll be guided to my contact information.
Shane Nichols, GM of Ball State Sports Properties in Learfield here at Ball State, joining us on This Week in Ball State Sports. Shane, what else do you want the audience to know about what your team, Learfield Sports Properties, is working on before we let you go?
I think that's it. We're already looking ahead to next season. We that's kind of the funny part of our business is we're living a year ahead of time. So we're kind of looking at some baseball stuff. We kind of have basketball done. We have football wrapped up. We do have a new video board that's coming in to the baseball stadium. So we're looking to get some sponsors involved with that. But really, we're looking at next year, and we're excited about all the things we can offer our sponsors. And I encourage anyone, even if you don't buy anything, to learn more about. If you're a business owner, you're an operator, anywhere in the state of Indiana, there are Ball State fans, and you can benefit in some way, shape, or form. It's affordable, and check us out.
Well, Shane, we appreciate you joining the show. Appreciate you signing the checks, and we'll see you around. Thank you, Shane.
Always. Thank you, Mick. Appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to This Week in Ball State Sports, presented by Gainbridge. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation on the Gainbridge Ball State Cardinals Sports Network.